So, and salute to the new audience, the Checkball Podcast, for everybody watching on the Checkball Podcast. Also, salute Cowboy Bob. What's good, bro?
Man, I'm happy we won. Whew. Basically, last night I was kind of scared because how Embiid went down. I felt different, but then the third quarter when he was getting those steals and Maxey was running, I was like, "Come on, man, we can't do this." And then again, everyone underestimating our bench, everyone underestimating who we were. McBride stepping up, Bogue stepped up, even Hart. Both those guys shot 50% from three, which is unheard of. And Hart went 3 for 4 in the fourth. Like
Right.
this was really good for us because I think that the issue we have with Brunson being shut down when they put Batum or Kelly Oubre on him and they kept switching with the bigs, it shows that yeah, you can stop Brunson, but you can't stop us all.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay.
I love Brunson, man. You don't understand, like even when he had his bad night, I'm like, he's good because him still being on the court is the same way like Embiid. Embiid grabbing those boards, getting to the free throw line, even though he was hobbling, he was doing a lot of damage. So both those players, to me, they can't do no wrong in my eyes. So the best way we can win this series is we rely on the bench, and
Right.
as we shown we can win.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. Okay. All right. I'm not even gonna hold you, bro. I thought Philadelphia was lucky last night. I thought that was their opportunity to knock us off. Right. I thought that was their opportunity to knock us off. Kind of like when we were sleepwalking, that was their chance to steal one, so to speak. And I think they wasted their opportunity. Remember,
Agreed.
we had been off for so many days. We had been off for so many days that I think we probably were rusty going in, and Philly had just played Thursday night. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so that puts us in that situation where it's like they should have knocked us off and they didn't. But now that we are awakened, so to speak, from our slumber, I think Philly's in trouble, man.
Agreed. It's like
Bitmore's in the building. Andios is in the building. Salute.
we seen it with the Sixers when they played the Lakers in '01 when they were just playing, and the Lakers had like a week off. They
Yeah.
won the first game. I thought that's what was gonna happen, but again, thank you. You were right.
Yeah.
They had that opportunity in the third, and then we just came back. And the
Right.
funny part is, we didn't even rely on Brunson.
Right.
Like, I can't wait till the next game.
Right. I think the Philly fans think that we escaped. But nah, we didn't escape because if you watch the end of that game, when they should have been fouling us and they didn't,
Mm-hmm.
they should have been fouling us and they didn't. I think that clearly is a sign that I'm trying to put the pea popper up, bro.
It's
So
cool.
so that we won't so you won't hear a pop every time I say pass the peas like they used to say. But but the pea popper won't work as usual. That's the reason why I don't use the pea popper. I probably have to get a mic cover for this thing. I like the way it looked though. I like the gold mic.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I'm about to be like, you look like you in the studio about to make some beats.
yeah, man. Drake, I'm coming for you, Drake.
Oh wow! But
Yeah,
real quick, like while you adjust that, I was gonna say they had plenty of opportunity, especially in the fourth when McBride, after Brunson created that turnover and they scored and we were down by one and they kept the pressure on us and then they allowed McBride to get out of that backcourt when he almost had out of the they pushed him so far back he almost had a backcourt. That
yeah,
being said, they could have applied the pressure, but they didn't. They rotated and allowed Josh Hart to pull that three.
yep.
And that's where it started. It was like, oh, now we got you. And you can see from that point, they just lost all steam.
They just
Because they
lost.
could have fouled after that. They could have created after that. They could have kept running with Maxi, but they didn't. That's another thing. How do you stop when Maxi got y'all back into the lead with his downhill motion? So
Right,
they screwed up.
right. They screwed up for real. So they screwed up for real. They down five in a playoff game. They didn't even try to foul. I think when Mitchell Robinson hit those 2 free throws. Remember they did the hacker Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
They did that hacker Mitch, and the hacker Mitch didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they knew that they were in trouble. Then you could see their heart being taken away from right there or whatever. So
And Mitchell Robinson, yo, I was so happy to see him. Blocked by Mitchell, blocked by Mitchell, and then he get that block and throw right off of freaking Maxey when he's out of bounds. And you
yeah,
see him talking that smack. I'm like, ooh. Then
yeah,
he comes down and blocks Reed. I'm like, ooh. No wonder why Tibbs kept you in. You had something you was saving for this game.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And the sixth man was effective. I'm glad we was in it. We was roaring and yelling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So you confident going forward?
Oh hell yeah! Now it's like the jitters is over because now I already see what's gonna happen. They're gonna try to switch up with Obrey and try to have him D the guards and Brunson, and I have a feeling they're gonna try to shut down McBride, and they're gonna put Platoon on Hart and try to keep him out the paint. But the thing is what they're also missing is we still have Mitchell. We
Right,
still have Dante DiVincenzo.
right,
We
right.
still have OG because OG gave us 11 points. He was just playing defense.
Yeah.
So when you guys shift your attention to Hart or shift it to any of our guards, we're gonna hit you down low. I
Oh,
think we
yeah,
need to use Precious next game, just for at least 5 minutes.
yeah. If it comes to it, man, I think Tibbs will press the right buttons.
Yeah.
So for the reason why we are here, I'm gonna ask you this, and this I'm gonna ask you a crybaby question, right? Not because you are the crybaby, but because Uncle Freezy at times can be a very Nick understanding I understand that personally I feel like as a Knicks fan we don't get respect, and sometimes I start. Listen, I understand that, right? So, but here's my thing. When I saw the awards um, finalist list a few moments ago, I was just outside with the dogs. They were doing their normal intimidating the squirrels, running around on wet grass, trying to track up my house with wet grass and all that stuff. They would do the normal dog activity,
Mm-hmm.
right? The normal dog activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Bleacher Report alert came across my phone with the NBA awards finalists, and I was like, finalists? What do they mean finalists? And as soon as I saw it was a top 3 list for every category, I knew there was nary a Nick to be found before I saw the list. Which I would cue the crying baby again, but I think we all get the point, right? But
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to ask you, I'm going to start with the list top to bottom. You tell me if you feel like overall, from an NBA perspective and a Knicks fan perspective, if it's fair. Chat, I'd like for y'all to participate. If you feel like the finalists are fair, unfair, just let me know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If it's fair or unfair, I'm going to start with the MVP of the NBA conversation, right? The finalists for the NBA MVP: Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets,
Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. Is that list fair or unfair? From an NBA perspective and then from a Knicks perspective.
NBA, yes, because you have two new guys coming up in Luca and Shea, especially even though Shea was this guy last year. Knicks fan, no, because the same respect you give Shea, you should be giving Brunson because Brunson's been playing the same way he has last year as he is this year. He's just been less efficient because he's asked to do more. But he still brought up his assists. We made it to the second round. So for me, if you give him credit, you need to also give our guy Brunson credit. But they won't because he's too small. And everyone overlooked last season because who was the scapegoat? Randall. So
Okay.
for me, I think Brunson should be. I think he's the top three in guards. I can understand if it's Shea or Luca. Cool, that's your preference. But me, it's him next. He's above Steph. He's above everyone because not only did he lead us from I think the fourth seed, he brought us to the second seed with 50 wins without Randall, and with the most of the teams we were losing to, or I mean the most of the teams we were winning against wasn't just low level teams. We were beating Boston. We were beating the top guys. Bucks. Like, so for me, you give Shea credit for being number one. He has Chet. He had a healthier roster than we did. Dallas had the same injuries we have. So if you put Luka in there because of the injuries, got to put Brunson in. So for me, either way you look, Shea brought his team to the number one spot. Brunson brought his team to the number two spot with injuries. Luka is the guy because they had to fight through injuries. So did Brunson. So as a Knicks fan, we'll never get respect until we win a championship.
Mm. But Luka hasn't won a championship, and
But he's
SGA hasn't won a championship. But
that's the bias.
In terms of your point though about size, I think the size thing may be working against Brunson, right? And Chad, think about this. I think Cowboy Bob is right. On the size thing. It's one of the things that we generally don't talk about. I'm not for sure if it's a thing we just dismiss out of hand because we can't help it, or if it's a blind spot for us. And so what I would say to that is I'm gonna ask Cowboy Bob when the last time he saw the NBA have an MVP that was 6'2" and under.
Steph. I'm gonna be honest with you. Steph 2014, to me, I was like, who is this guy? But it had to take the 2015 season and him winning the ring before people were like, oh, it's Steph. Then 2016, he got a unanimous. Like, for me, I thought Steph was doing really well and should have been MVP. But you had Steph, and then even if you go back to Iverson, I can't remember if Iverson won the MVP in '01. I'm not sure. I think he didn't. But even when he did what he did, people still didn't respect the shorter guy. So for me, I just think that because people don't like the fact that a 6'2" guard or a 6'1" guard is doing in the work, banging down low, it's very unbecoming because there's multiple guards of that size that don't do it. So we have a rarity in scoring when Steph was able to shoot the long ball. You had a rarity in Iverson able to get downhill and create his shots and bring his team to the Eastern Conference. Brunson got both. Brunson could shoot 40% from the 3 point. He could attack down low. He could even pass and help his team. But because we're seeing this a second time,
Right.
I don't think they're going to be as passive because the first time was, oh, it's Steph. They won a championship. That solidified it. Now, because Brunson's doing it, they won't do it until he wins.
Okay.
And that's bad because, like you said, Shea never won a championship. Luca never won a championship. Why are they getting the praise? Because they're fancy.
Okay. 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 Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna say I was looking at while you were speaking. I was looking over the list of the list of the league MVPs, and generally it looks like it goes in cycles. So the last five MVPs, right? The last five league MVPs, were all big guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Joel Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis, those three players won the last five MVPs, right? And then there was a stretch where guards won the MVP: Harden, Westbrook, Curry,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then there was a stretch of wing players: Kevin Durant, LeBron James. Then there was Derrick Rose won it in 2011, and before that, it was wing players: LeBron, Kobe, then Dirk, Nash, KG, right? So it seems like to me that the MVP kind of goes like cyclical,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the fans or the writers like a certain type of of MVP,
Mm-hmm.
For instance, the year Steve Nash won it, I
Yeah,
also felt like Shaquille O'Neal deserved the MVP in both of those years.
me too.
Right. But since Steve Nash was new to the scene, right, I think Steve Nash won the MVP over Shaq when maybe Shaq deserved it. And I could say the same thing for the Derrick Rose year. The year Derrick Rose won it, clearly LeBron, if LeBron didn't win it, he should have at least it should have at least been a flat foot tie. It should have been a
Mm-hmm.
sister kiss. You know what I'm saying? Like co MVPs in the Derrick Rose year, even though Derrick Rose was dynamic. And I
Yep.
love Pooh. I love Pooh. I wish Derrick Rose could have retired as a Knick. Right? I wish Derrick Rose could have retired as a Knick. I'm not gonna lie to you. I loved as a Knicks fan, I love Derrick Rose. I ain't gonna lie to you. When
Mm-hmm.
I think
Me
about
too.
when I think about Derrick Rose, I think about Derrick Rose as a Knick and not a Bull.
Agreed.
And so when we have the MVP conversation, I think it's gonna be one of those where if 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 Joker wins it again, I think it's gonna continue to go to those big body guys, the big back guys, right? You know what I'm saying? Now now and that's the MVP part. As far as the Knicks part goes, it's simple. You have to define you have to define what the what MVP means. Like, what does MVP mean? Because if MVP means the most valuable player of your team and elevates the play of the league, clearly it's Jalen Brunson. What are we even talking about? Right? But if it's, who's the best player in the league, then it's Jokic. But
Mm-hmm.
best and most valuable are two different things, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
because for instance, for those that don't know the distinction, if Cowboy Bob and I owned a mansion and we were looking to move all of our furniture out of that mansion into a new mansion, even though a Ferrari would be more valuable. Even though a Ferrari would be more valuable, two moving trucks would be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? The two big moving trucks would be better if we were looking to move furniture out of a thing instead of. But the Ferrari would be more valuable, right?
Yep.
So
Agreed.
so if it's one of those things where if it's the best versus the most valuable, the two moving trucks would be the best option for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But clearly the Ferrari would be more valuable, right? And so that's where I think that the NBA has a very blurry line of what is best and what is valuable. Bronx Mel is in the building. In game, what's good? I see you. Just Knicks is in the building. Tibbs, why you all over here looking at us? Ain't you supposed to be working on the game plan? Yeah,
But to your point about the bigs being is going to be transitioned that way for a while, it's because if you look at it, honestly, the only real reason I think Embiid and that's Embiid, SGA and Luca. Don't get me wrong, Luca deserves to be in the top three, but Shea wouldn't be there if it was Embiid was healthy all year because Embiid was balling early in the season. So I agree with you. Wemby coming up, Chet coming up, that's what they're gonna be trying to boast as well. Because next year I hear people saying he may be the MVP in Wemby, and I'm like, yo, y'all are too early. But like you said, I think it's gonna be bigs for a while.
right, right. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. But the
But
thing
I'm not
is,
gonna lie, it's good because if we remember when we had this same thing back in '90s with Hakeem the Dream and Mr. Robinson was the MVP. What happened in the finals? We saw a whole nother level of Hakeem. So for me, as an NBA fan, that's what they want to see. But I think that if you're gonna do MVP, you need to have an actual like listing of what it is rather than it be random or fan base.
right, right. No doubt. No doubt. I'm with you. It's just the thing is Luka is clearly the better player than Jalen Brunson. Not that Jalen Brunson's a bad player.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Tatum's a bad player. Not that Anthony Edwards is a bad player. Not that anybody in the top 10 is a bad player. Jokic right now just seems to be better.
He
Right.
was one assist away from averaging a triple double as
Right.
a center.
As a center.
What are we talking about?
Right.
Like,
As a center. Right. And so my thing is no knock on Brunson, right? You have to understand that in fairness to everybody, Jokic might be one of the greatest centers to ever play NBA basketball.
and sadly, Embiid is the only one that can compete with him because of the points, and he's
Right.
the only one that stopped him from the three-peat. So,
Right. Right. Now, on the Jalen Brunson part of it, if we talk about value or we're talking about best, like if you're talking about Brunson clearly the Knicks without Jalen Brunson clearly is a lottery team. Clearly, right? But what are the Dallas Mavericks without Luka? They still have Kyrie Irving.
I think they're a playing team as well.
Right. What is Denver without Jokic? Right. Denver without Jokic is probably a play-in team in that neighborhood of a play-in set 6 seed, something like that.
Yeah.
Probably like a 6 seed, because you don't go from championship caliber to out of the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
That team clearly has talent on it and they know how to win, right? Without Jokic, that team's probably a 6, 7, maybe 8 seed, depending on who else stays healthy. You know, but the Knicks without Jalen Brunson,
I think we in the 9th seed.
I think we're the 15th seed.
That was me being nice because no Brunson, nah, we ain't even in the playoffs because we no Brunson, no Randall, no G for a period of time or Mitch. Yeah,
Yeah,
we were lucky to have what we have.
yeah, yeah,
But
clearly.
when you look at Luka though, to me, without Luka, I agree with you. Dallas would be probably exactly where we were. But with Jokic, that team has coaching. They've been running systems with him. Even he's helping them out. But when you look at value, it's like Brunson is that car that everyone looks and is like, oh, that's a nice car. But when you put it on the track, it's like, whoa, whoa. Like I always say, the El Camino. El Camino always gets slept on, but it's a Chevy engine you could put in the car that makes it as fast as it. Like you could put a V12 Chevrolet engine in it, brand spanking new, and you you tie down the hitches right, and you actually have it. That is the fastest car on any track, and that's Brunson. So moments he's not gonna hit those turbos and be fast. He may lose here and there, but when he goes, he goes. So for me, that's his value. It's hidden value.
Yeah.
To where Luka, we know, and I'm real quick with Luka. Luka, I think he's averaging like 57 points, either in assist or scoring with Dallas Mavericks, and that's like the first time in NBA history. That's a stat I didn't even know until earlier today. They were saying Luka contributes 57 points to his team, either in assist or scoring, and it's the first time in NBA history. That's MVP like.
That's MVP like. Right. Right. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, man. To me, it's as simple as the definition of what the MVP means, right? So if the most valuable player, so clearly it's the most valuable player of the NBA. That's why they pick one player out of the 30 teams, right? Out of all 500 players that'll cycle through the NBA during the season. And I'm talking about two-way contracts, dudes getting cut, dudes getting signed. It's going to be about 500 players or so, right? Easily that number, right? You pick one player out of those 500, right? To say this person is the most valuable player in this league. Like without this player, the whole league loses value, right? And so if you go by that, I can understand why they're saying Luka, SGA, and Jokic.
And another thing about Brunson, when was the last time we had a dirty work guy like that? Guy that kept his head down, didn't talk smack, didn't try to showboat, just focused on his skill and talent. It's a rare skill, and people can't feed off of that because you can't read them. Like when
Right.
they interviewed him last night, they were like, "Oh, who do you think was it?" He's like, "McBride." That was it, and they were like you see what I'm saying? Like you get no emotion from a player like that. Same thing with OG. It's very hard to promote that.
It's hard.
Whereas if Luca, you can see Luca come down and gets his little shimmy and he does his little jumps. Like, don't get me wrong. Brunson got the threes, but besides that, he's mostly quiet.
Yeah.
So it's also marketing as well that goes into it.
Yeah. I can see that.
Because even now, look at Jokic. They got him doing Despicable Me commercials. Like everyone's saying, "Oh, Jokic just wants to go do his commercials. I mean, make his money and go home." He's
Maybe.
now freaking doing Despicable Me commercials, and it's funny. He's coming in dressing like the character. I think it's pretty dope. His personality
Yeah.
came out now.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say in terms of the MVP conversation, um, I'm not mad that SGA is in it, right? I do still think you got to show love to Giannis, right?
Yeah.
I'm not mad at SGA. I'm not mad at Luca, right? I'm not mad at Jokic, right? I'm not mad at Brunson. I'm not mad at Tatum. I'm not mad at Anthony Edwards and all these guys. I'm not mad at LeBron and these guys, bro. What does frustrate me a tad bit is the name of the award more so than the award itself, or the awarding of the accolade itself, as opposed to the award. And I know that's like me making mincemeat over stuff,
It's
but
actually crazy. And I was gonna say it's crazy because who's the best player in the East? When you really look at the MVP, three guys come from the West, and then the next best guy that I think it would be Brunson.
right,
So for me, I wish the MVP was MVP of the West, MVP of the East,
okay.
but we know how it is.
My thing, and so if we parse participles, right? If we break this thing down to the very last compound, right? When you look at what Luka Doncic provides for Dallas, does he provide more for Dallas than Jalen Brunson provides for the Knicks?
Mm, mm. Okay, when Brunson is off, the Knicks can still win. When Luka's off, Dallas has a very bad chance of winning. So for me, in that aspect, you got to go with Luka because the way he's able to take advantage and be more consistent, and like I said, 57 points he's contributing to his team in assist or scoring. I never heard of a stat like that. So this year he gets it. But watching Brunson over the years, they're neck and neck, like they're fighting for position.
Right.
But then again, remember, Brunson's coming out of being behind Luka's shadow for 2 years. I mean, for those years. This is
Yeah.
the second he's coming out of that shadow, so he's got a lot to prove, and he's stepping up too.
Right.
I think it's Luka.
Okay. What I would say is that Luca right now offers more stuff than what Jalen Brunson provides right now. And it's not that I don't want to give Jalen Brunson credit, right? Because I would much rather give Jalen Brunson credit than really admit to this, right? But when you have a guy in Luca average 34 points a game, 9 rebounds, and damn near 10 assists,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you have people putting up numbers like that, bro, when you have Luca shooting 38% from three, that man takes about 11 threes a game, shooting about 38% from three. Man, that dude is so that he's a hub, bro. He does everything that we want. He does everything that we want Jalen Brunson to do, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, nine assists, bro. That's a lot. That's a lot, bro. 9.8 assists. That's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a lot, bro. You know what I mean? And 9.2 rebounds. That's a lot, bro. You
Especially
know,
for a guard. This is so crazy. Like I'm sitting here saying, like, yeah, we got Josh Hart. We know he's under 6'4" and he's doing it, but you got a guy that can score, contribute. Like I think Brunson's trending in that direction because he stepped up his assist as well, and he stepped up his scoring as well. But we just got to give him time. Basically, Brunson is going to be what we want from Luca, like you said. Like the CVS version of Luca is Brunson.
yeah, man. But the thing about, see, Luca does other stuff like rebound, bro.
hmm
Luca
And
rebounds.
he actually been cutting off a lot of passing lanes. I've seen him get 2 or 3 steals like a couple of games. I'm like, I didn't know Luca could do that.
Yeah, and here's another thing. Jalen Brunson averaged 28.7 points a game,
hmm
right? Jalen Brunson almost damn near averaged. Jalen Brunson basically averaged 29 and 7, right? Basically, chat. I'm gonna say this to y'all and think about what I'm saying. Jalen Brunson averaged, in theory, 29 and 7. And I know that I can hear the haters. The haters are like, no, you can't round up. Man, if you ever been to any public school, if you've been to
Yep.
school, you know anything over point 0.5, you round up. Don't be a hater.
Yep.
Don't
Especially
be a
dealing with
hater.
whole numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be a hater, right? Right. My thing is this. 29 and 7 is nothing to scoff at. You're looking at the best offensive season from a Knicks player maybe ever, even over Richie Guerin, who a lot of us hadn't seen play.
Yep.
I don't know if there's even footage of Richie Guerin play, right? But if you have to go back 60 years to draw a comparison, that sums it up. If you have to go back in your record book 60 years to get somebody to compare Jalen Brunson to, that sums it up. That means you're reaching. Like if you're like, well, I don't know if it was better than Clyde. Yo, that was 50, 55 years ago. If you got to go back that far, I think you're reaching. Let's give that man credit.
But I'm
My man,
glad though.
yeah. My man Jay, let's just give him credit. Let's just draw a line somewhere. Right? Let's just draw the line at so what is 2024? Let's draw the line at 40 years. So draw the line at 1984. Anything before 1984, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not modern if it's 40 years old. I'm sorry.
hmm And I
Right.
agree. Brunson to me is the new Frazier. He's number 11. Frazier was Mr. 10. So I'm just glad we got someone we can watch and enjoy because man, hearing stories about Frazier and the limited videos I've seen of him, he did it all. And that's what Brunson's trying to do now. So I'm glad because that's setting the trend to remind us, yo, we might be on to something.
Right.
Because the last time we had a guard this good was Mr. Frazier or Richard Garrett, like you said. And don't get me wrong, we had Melo, but Melo was a forward, and a lot of people can compare him to Randall because of how they played. But Brunson is in his own class, and we do need to draw a line in the sand and start separating them two.
Right. 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 So, all right. So, in the MVP conversation, I'm gonna say the league narrowing the three down to Luca, Jokic, and SGA is fair, but I don't like it. Is that respectable? Is that a suitable answer?
Nah,
That is fair,
because
but I don't like it.
nah, because it's you're actually being. I hate to say this, you're not doing it with your Knicks colored glasses. You may feel some type of way, but you can at least understand why it is there. So you
And I
acknowledging that?
explained why I don't like it.
Yep,
About how the definition of MVP is convoluted.
agreed. But when they fix that, then we can actually have a better conversation of understanding. Like, okay, now we have something to go on, and then we can actually fight better for Brunson. But I see, like I said, you're right because it's okay for them not to be having Brunson, but I don't agree with it neither. But I can understand why they picked those three. I actually thought Embiid, if he stayed healthy, would have been up there too. So,
Right, right, right.
and
So
Giannis, like you said too.
okay, okay. So let's move on to the next award in order that they have it listed. Right, Defensive Player of the Year. Right, and the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year are Bam Adebayo, Rudy Gobert, and Victor Wembanyama Wimby.
Bam,
Bam Adebayo.
bam. Wait.
Adebayo.
Wow, I thought when last time I checked, I thought it was Goldberg because of what he was doing. He was number one all season. Him and Chet were battling earlier, and then he stayed up there because of his defensive presence. And then Cat came up and actually took over, I think, in the third spot mid-season before he got his little hurt. And Wemby, I could understand because Wemby made a big improvement after the All-Star break, stepping up in blocks, stepping up in rebounds, and he actually contributed with a lot of turnovers and a lot of contested shots. So I could give Wemby being third. That's cool, but damn, I don't agree with that. I don't. I haven't seen. I don't agree with that. I agree with Gobert. I agree with Wemby, and another defensive. You may call me biased, but if what's his name? Smart can win it as a guard. I think Alex Caruso should be on the table.
I think Alex Caruso should be in the conversation.
Exactly.
Right. I think OG Anunoby should be in the conversation. I think Lou Dort should be in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his defense may have slipped since he tried to add offense. Right. It's difficult to be offense and defense in the NBA.
Yep.
It's basically it's like bringing 2 times the energy that a normal player would bring, being a two-way player.
Mm-hmm. So that hypertension.
yeah. And so what I would say in terms of the Defensive Player of the Year thing, listen, I know Rudy Gobert is an excellent defender, and I know Bam Adebayo is an excellent defender. But I legit has seen this young boy Wemby change the game defensively. Dudes don't even want to shoot wide open layups with Wemby around.
Mm-hmm.
Right. what Wemby does for San Antonio's defense is nothing short of remarkable. Like, he's legit can block anything inside the 3-point arc.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If Wemby legit is one step. If Wemby's in the paint, he's legit one step away from blocking the 3-pointer.
Yeah. It's like having a younger Mutombo that's fast.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's ball size.
Exactly. Yep.
You know what I mean? Or a Manute ball size, right?
Oh, Manute ball.
It's one of those things, man, where a dude is 7'4" and moves like Kevin Durant, but on defense.
And he loves blocking. Like, he don't fall for the fake neither, which is crazy because early in the season, that's what he was falling for. A lot of head fakes. He was jumping too early. People were burning him. And now you see him, he's just on his tippy toes, just sticking his hand out. When he sees the ball up, he's getting it. And I'm like, this kid is grabbing the concept that fast. He deserves his credit.
Yeah. Legit. Like, you were a little boy one time, right? You wasn't born a grown man. Me either. I wasn't born this size, bro. I used to be a little boy one time, right? Shooting a basketball. You remember how you used to go outside? Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm a doofus. Maybe I'm a goober, right? But there were times when I used to go outside and try to throw a football over a pine tree. Like, you look up at the pine tree and you're like, I wonder if I could throw the football over that. And you legit waste like 4 hours in the afternoon trying to throw the football over the top of a tree that's like 45 feet tall. and you're trying to throw a football over it, and it keeps getting blocked by the tree, and sometimes it gets stuck in the tree, and then you got to climb the tree and get the ball down, and sometimes you just got to shake the tree until it fall, or sometimes it just gets stuck. That's what it's like shooting over Wemby, bro. Legit shooting over Wemby is like a little boy trying to throw a ball over the top of the tallest tree in your neighborhood.
Can't even reverse neither on him. Like,
Yeah,
he can't go up and under the rim. He's waiting. Like,
right.
I thought that would be his floor. Like, oh, go up and under baseline, backdoor cuts. No,
you can't fool him, bro.
Exactly. He waits under the rim. He's like, I got you. Beep. I'm like, where did that hand come from? He way more advanced than I ever thought.
Yeah,
that guy. Next year he'll be defensive player of the year.
I think it's him this year, but I agree with you next year. I think next year he's gonna win it every year that he's healthy.
Yep.
Unless somebody comes out and is taller and more athletic and stronger than him.
Because even if OG steps up and plays the whole 60, 65 game requirement, his offense is nowhere near Wemby. So that's another thing. When you look at that, like the offense he creates off of his defense is just. Don't get me wrong, OG can bring the ball up and all of that, but when Wemby gets the ball, they're most likely scoring on the other end. And that's another thing. He creates a lot more transition. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, for the defensive player of the year thing, I don't have a Knicks player in it either. Just because Mitch missed a lot of time due to injury, OG missed a lot of time due to injury, and Deuce McBride didn't get enough significant minutes in order to qualify, in my opinion. Now they tried to get his minutes up, bro, because that man went from playing 0 minutes to playing 47 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no shade on Deuce, right? But Deuce legit went from DMPs to 48 minutes. And that's significant, right? That's significant, but I don't think he meets that 20-minute a game threshold, right? Because he just didn't have enough. And guess what? And I'm looking at his minutes per game. So I think the threshold is 20 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many minutes a game he played?
18.
19 and a half.
Oh!
19 and a half.
30 seconds off.
They were trying to get Deuce. They was trying to get Deuce to that all defensive team. Bad, bro.
Yeah, that I can see. That I can see one of our Knicks making an all defensive team. That I can see.
Yeah.
That I can see.
Yeah.
But nah,
they were trying to get
Wemby and Gobert.
Bad, bro. Like
Wemby, Gobert, and Alex Caruso on my 3. Bam. Sorry, bro. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. You ain't even AD on defense to me, Bam. I'm sorry. Like, what are we talking about? If AD wasn't hurt, that's another one that I think gets overlooked.
Anthony Davis gets hurt a lot too.
Yeah. If he wasn't hurt, man, he'd be nasty.
That man's nickname is Street Clothes. that man is in Street Clothes tonight. Anthony Davis. Yeah, man, but that dude's a heck of a player, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That dude is one heck of a player, bro. They call that man nickname is half man, half a game. That's that man's nickname. Bro, that man's nickname is half man, half a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, but shout out to Anthony Davis, man, because he's an excellent NBA player, bro.
And he plays both sides too, so
yeah, man. Yeah, man. So chat, what do y'all think in terms of the NBA MVP? I mean, the NBA award finalist thing, defensive player of the year. Do you see a Knicks player being in the conversation for player of the year? I mean, defensive player of the year. And I'm just going to be upfront with you. I think the defensive player of the year is Victor Wembanyama, and I think it's Gobert maybe second, but Bam Adebayo. I don't see anything wrong with the list personally, and I don't see a Knick being on the list because I don't think a Knicks player would qualify.
Good.
Yeah. So we'll move on. We'll move on for that one. Rookie of the year: Chet, Brandon Miller, Victor Wembanyama. I think we all know that Victor Wembanyama is going to win Rookie of the Year, and plus the Knicks don't have a rookie that qualifies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll move on. I'll move on for that one.
And the fact that he's second in Defensive Player of the Year, most likely he will get it.
Yeah, he's gonna win Rookie of the Year. Yeah. So Sixth Man of the Year. We don't have anybody that qualifies for Sixth Man of the Year because we had so many injuries. The guys that would have been Sixth Man are in that kind of category. We had so many injuries that those guys probably they would have been in that category, but the injuries thrust them into the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm. Or they lost their starting lineup. Dante DiVincenzo beating out Grimes.
Yeah.
Because there's 15 points off the bench.
McBride started 14 games, bro.
Exactly. Like they were getting beat out. Like, and again, he went from I think 10 points to 15 points, shooting 40% from three. Like that would have been perfect for Sixth Man of the Year. But like you said, injuries and he outplayed for the position.
Yeah. And the defensive player of the year thing, I think it's speculative because there is some eye test involved.
Yep.
There is some eye test involved, but at the same time, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna go with Vic on this one.
Great.
Sixth Man of the Year. I don't know if the Knicks don't have anybody that's gonna qualify for that. I think the Sixth Man of the Year, our best Sixth Man is probably Deuce McBride. You know what I mean? Like Deuce is probably that guy for us, our best bench player over the course of 82 games. And again, that's because of fluctuation in roster, 2 major trades, injuries, all these things. Deuce McBride is probably that guy. But I don't know if he played enough minutes. Clearly, the NBA says the Sixth Man of the Year finalists are Malik Monk, Bobby Portis, and Naz Reid. I'm gonna go with Naz Reid on this one, even though Karl Anthony Towns missed a lot of time, bro.
Oh, okay, I see why. Because they were second in that league. Okay, I see what you're saying. And he did help out a lot with Naz Reid. He was supposed to be a Knick, but I guess not. Earlier this season, he was supposed to be a Knick there, Nas, but I see why you did that. Like Naz Reid, I give him credit. He played defense, created a lot of turnovers, and also helped them out with their wins in the second position. But for me, Malik Monk, I've seen games where Fox was off, Keegan Murray was off, and Monk just dropping 20. Monk coming off the bench, passing, getting blocks, playing defense. And last year, I thought he would have either won Most Improved or Sixth Man last year, but we know how that went.
Right.
Went to Boston.
Of course. What doesn't go to Boston, bro?
Exactly. Yeah, like Lucas Smart is the only defensive player that he has a guard since Gary Payton. It had to be Boston, right?
Right. Yeah. So in this case, like what Chief says, oh no, not that one. What's the other one? There it is. Chief says Monk or Portis.
Yeah.
I don't want to go with Malik Monk here because I don't think his impact was thorough enough for me to feel it over here on the East Coast.
Okay.
Right. Like legit. Say for instance, when Lou Williams was winning the Sixth Man of the Year, I kind of felt it, even in the city I was at.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Malik Monk out in Sacramento. Is he the Sixth Man of the Year? Is he not? Is he stat padding because they score a lot of points? Is it their system? Is he impactful? I don't know. I feel like Portis is more impactful than Malik Monk.
Okay.
Right. That's just me speculating. I hadn't seen enough games of Sacramento or Milwaukee, but in the games that I did see Milwaukee, Bobby Portis felt like he was making a major impact. Okay. And Bobby Portis is backing up a Hall of Famer. So for him to still have an impact with a Hall of Famer at his position on the roster makes me give the nod to Bobby Portis, even though Malik Monk may have put up better numbers. I'm not for sure if he did or not, but I feel as if Bobby Portis was more impactful.
Was Nas Reed eligible for six man? Because I thought he started when Cat got hurt.
Yeah, he's an NBA finalist. I have it right here in front of me.
So yeah, I agree with you. To me, now that I think about it, I prefer Reed because that guy should have been a Knick. We said it earlier this season. We had that conversation. Oh, who's gonna back up Randall? I was like Nas Reed or Prince, but yeah. Portis, I give it to him too though, because you are right. You're backing up Giannis, man, and you're still holding it down. And they are when Dame was out, like Dame was out off his game. I'm not saying that when he was off his game, it was Portis stepping up on D, getting those guys involved, talking to them. So it could go either way. You could stay East Coast if you like with Portis, or you can go, West Coast with Reed.
Yeah, and Nas, for the record, Nas Reed started 14 games. He played all 80. He played 81. He played about 24 minutes a night. He shot 41.4% from three on 5 attempts. He grabbed 5.2 rebounds a game in 24 minutes. So he was impactful. He averaged 13.5 points a game as a big. And here's the thing, as a big coming off the bench, he averaged 13.5 and 5 rebounds. Can you imagine if Mitch was averaging 13.5 points and 5 rebounds coming off our bench? What we would be saying about Mitchell Robinson? Oh, he didn't go.
And he's making free throws. Look at that. Because he can shoot threes. I mean, he won't be shooting threes, but we'll be happy that he be making his free throws. I couldn't believe it, man. But yeah, we will be saying that.
So on that one, I think I'll give the nod to Nas Reed begrudgingly. I legit prefer guards in that six man role. But Nas Reed, between Nas Reed and Bobby Portis, I think I'm going to give the nod to Nas Reed, despite all the stuff that I said about Bobby Portis. Big coming off the bench, averaging 13.5, averaging 14 and 5 off the bench. And when you have two other bigs that are going to the Hall of Fame, like Cat's going to the Hall of Fame despite what people say about him. His numbers are undeniable. He's going to the Hall of Fame, right? Rudy Gobert is going to the Hall of Fame because of his defense, right? And both of those dudes are kind of young. They're not old, right? So you got those two, and then Nas Reed carving out his niche behind them speaks to one thing. Either they have a very center-friendly system, or Nas Reed is a heck of a player. And with that said, I think it could be a combination of both skewing to one or the other.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, all right. So who's your sixth man of the year?
I'm gonna go with Reed because now that I think about it, I forgot they were second and then they lost to us, so they dropped down. That's where Minnesota moved up. And even though they were competing longer for the first seed and just barely escaped it with the second seed, they would have been first seed had OKC not won against us, which was a tragedy. But for me, I'm gonna give it to Reed because I liked him from the beginning of the season, and I say he should have been a Knick to back up Randall. He proved the point, so he deserves it.
Okay. All right. So the next one is. See, this is a rock in my shoe, bro. This is good. Hey, chat, stop what you're doing and pay attention to this one because I want your impact. I want your feedback on this one. Cowboy Bob and I are going to legit talking about the finalists, the 3 finalists for the NBA Coach of the Year. And here are the NBA Coach of the Year candidates, finalists. Mark Daigneault from the Oklahoma City Thunder, Chris Finch from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Jamal Mosley from the Orlando Magic.
Okay, the first two, last year OKC, I was saying he deserves coach of the year honors because they made the play in without Chet and they were playing really well. So I could see them now because they moved in the first play. I give him a credit for that. The who was the second one again? You said Timberwolves.
Yep, Chris Finch.
I agree with that because he actually found a way to keep their defense the same without keeping Ant-Man playing as much defense. So he could do more offensive plays and he could step up and present a post game that most people haven't seen. Now all of a sudden they're saying Ant-Man's him. But for me to see Ant-Man transition from just solo defense to actually controlling the offense, actually slowing it down, trying to get guys involved, knowing when to attack, I give him credit for that too. But the third one, the Magic, I can't. I even heard a stat that I think that Magic, after 90 possessions, they only score like 49 points or something like that. Out of 90 possessions, like they're not even doing that much. Like that's bad. You're missing a lot. Like you're supposed to be doing better off of those possessions. So for me, they're a young team. They clicked well with defense. I love Jonathan Isaac. If he had more minutes, I probably would have changed my mind. But hell no. I don't think the Magic should be even it should be Tibbs. I'm sorry. If you look at a team with 50 wins that wasn't even we beginning of the season, we were supposed to be 43 wins or 44 wins. We hit 50 with injuries. We lost three key guys for a majority, more than a quarter of the season, and one of them ain't even coming back till next year.
Right.
And Tibbs actually showed a four-guard rotation, showed like 8 different type of rotations throughout the season, and improved with the trades we got.
Right.
This man was making adjustments all year. Don't get me wrong. Now he's probably gonna settle into his old ways, but
Right.
there was so many different things. I've even seen him rely. Who would rely on Josh Hart to do what he did? Who would rely on Brunson? There's certain players he don't even talk to. He just looks at like when they did the replay, he had his back to the team and he was yelling at the bench. And Brunson's like, yo, replay when the ball went out. He turned and was like, Brunson, what was that? He's like, replay? Let's go right now. Like he to me, he should be at least in there before the Magic coach. Any coach from the East should be him.
Right. Right.
He should. That really irks me, man. Because then, what are you really saying about our team? 50-32 with all the injuries that we had. I still get laughed at for that. They're like Tibbs is a bum. Nah, man, he stepped up. This year should have been his coach of the year, honest, more than when he was with Chicago.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this about the finalists, right? Right. I'm in terms of the coach of the year thing. I'm not gonna do a broad overview on this one. I'll take a deep dive on this one, right?
Okay.
All right. So in terms of Jamal Mosley making the list, I honestly believe it was a miracle what he did from last year to this year. It's nothing short of a miracle what he did with that team. And then you look at all the deficiencies they have. They don't have NBA caliber. They don't have playoff caliber guards, right? Not right now. They don't. They're young.
Mm-hmm.
They're young, so and they don't have NBA quality guards yet. And for the fact that Orlando is in this spot that they're in is nothing short of a man on a mule on Damascus Road. Is nothing short of that, right? Right. And so and honestly, I'm gonna say the same thing about Chris Finch, right? What Chris Finch is doing in Minnesota is nothing short of some grand entity raising somebody from the great beyond, right? Because Minnesota historically, statistically, Minnesota is the worst franchise win-loss wise in professional sports history, right? Minnesota is a win-loss. They're the worst team historically in the NBA ever, ever, right? And it doesn't matter what talent goes there. right? It doesn't matter what talent goes to Minnesota, they still always lose. But Chris Finch has turned that thing around, right? He's turned it around. So I want to give Mosley and Chris Finch both credit, right? I'm not saying that they shouldn't even be considered. I'm saying they should definitely be considered, right? Definitely be considered, right? The thing with Dagna, listen, the Oklahoma City Thunder coach, I don't even want to hear it. I see this same storyline every 3 years. Oh, they're the youngest team in the NBA, and they won a bunch of such and such. Bro, I've seen this story 1,000 times. It's like, yo, what's the dude? What's the movie where they be driving cars fast for no reason? And the franchise, they got like 50 movies, like the ball.
Yeah, like 11 movies in the works right now.
Yeah, y'all know the movie. What's the movie franchise I'm talking with the bald head dude that be talking under his breath? This time we'll make them pay. Family come first. Y'all know
I
this.
only think a quarter mile at a time.
Quarter mile at a time. Y'all know the movie where they be driving cars real fast, acting like they saving the world, and they ain't really doing that, but driving cars real fast and doing stupid stuff. Y'all know the franchise I'm talking about, man. It's not like James Bond or Star Wars or nothing. It ain't nothing that makes sense. It's a bunch of cats just driving around real fast. Oh, I'm gonna drive this car real fast off a cliff, off a train, over a bridge, into the
buildings,
and through buildings, and nobody gets a scratch.
Nah, into a flying helicopter. And just pass by like nothing.
It squeezes through a helicopter, and nobody on the helicopter gets hurt, and the car doesn't get a scratch. Y'all know the movie I'm talking about, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, y'all know that. Hey, DSJ, don't do that, bro. Dune is fire, bro. Don't do that, DSJ. Stop trolling, DSJ. Don't do that. Dune makes a lot of sense, bro. Dune, hey, don't do that, DSJ. Don't do all that. King Ribby says the Fast and the Furious. Yeah, that's yeah. So the thing is with the out of the unknown coach with all the young players winning a bunch of games and all of that stuff, bro. We just heard this a few years ago with Memphis.
Did we not? I forgot about that.
Yo, didn't we just hear this the other year about Memphis? A young coach out of nowhere takes this young team, and they're going to knock off one of the old head teams.
Lakers.
Yeah, bro. We hear this all the time, like the Orlando Magic did it one year. One year they had like a young coach out of nowhere, and then they had Shaq and Penny and Nick Anderson and
Scott.
Yeah. We get this narrative every 3 years. So the Dagnall guy, listen, man, y'all can, hey, bro, they can miss me with that, bro. We get this narrative all the time. Oh my God, Steve Kerr is the coach of the year because that young backcourt of Steph and Clay and they have Harrison Barnes and they have, bro, and yo, we hear it so often that I honestly think about every time I hear the narrative, I think of the fart in the Furious. Oh, the Fast and the Furious.
I got you.
Fast and the Furious, Fart and the Furious is all to me is all the same. We always hear it like, oh my God, that young team with Larry Johnson, Kendall Gill, and Alonzo Mourning, that coach should be coach of the year. We hear it all the time, bro. Like that the Atlanta coach. Oh my God, they have Jeff Teague and Schroeder off the bench and Joe Johnson and Josh Smith. That team is so young. We hear it all the time, bro. The other two coaches.
Okay.
The other two coaches, I'm giving them a thumbs up, right? Because of where they took that team and where they got the team and where they brought it to. But the young team narrative thing, bro, nah. Tell me if you heard this before. Yo, Willie Green should get consideration, man. They got Zion and Brandon Ingram and Herb Jones and Trey Murphy and Najee Marshall. Bro, we hear it so much that Tell me you never heard. Tell me you didn't hear like this narrative of young teams before, bro. Bro, a young team that comes from out of nowhere wins a lot of games. You know why those teams come from out of nowhere and wins a lot of games? Because they've been getting top 10 picks for 12 years.
Yep, they got Chet last
year. 10 picks for 12 years.
Chet, Jay Williams.
Yeah.
Dort, yeah.
Yeah, yo, and that's my take on it. Now, if something regular like that, something that comes along on regular intervals like that impresses you, that's fine. That's cool. What I'm saying, if I'm picking, Mark Daigneault is the one coach I'm taking out and putting in Tom Thibodeau.
Agreed. And also with that franchise, they did have James Harden, KD, Russell Westbrook, Big Baby Davis. They've been through this before.
Tell me if you heard this before. Tell me if you heard this. Oh, that young team is going to be great. That coach should be coach of the year. They got Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Reggie Jackson, Serge Ibaka. What's the fourth? They had the fourth guard. They had Eric Mena. They got Eric Mena, Reggie Jackson, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Nick Collison, all the young talent, right? And the coach deserves to be coach of the year. Bro, they've been drafted in the lottery for 50 years. I mean, of course, something's going to click sooner or later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And no disrespect to the basketball minds, but I think the narrative is recycled. I think it's like watching the it's like watching the Fast and the Furious, right? Like, oh my God, the Fast and the Furious got a new movie coming out. I wonder what it's going to be about.
And when you're watching it, you're like, this again? This is what I heard. This is what we really paid for?
Dudes driving cars real fast. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. How many Fast and the Furious movies can you make? Well, you're not going to switch it up because at the end of the day, somebody is going to be driving a car real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't even watch the movie because of the storyline. You watch it because of the type of cars they put in it.
Yep. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see how he's gonna get out of this one. I want to see what car he's using. Like it's the video game, pretty much.
Yeah,
he's just watching the online video game.
Yeah. And no disrespect to because there's some smart NBA, there's some smart people out there, and they talk NBA, and I'm not saying I don't have nothing against them, but what I'm saying is there's only, bro, you can only serve me vanilla ice cream so many times before I'm like, yeah, bro, I understand this dessert, but I do understand this vanilla ice cream.
Can I at least get a banana or some strawberries on top, some chocolate?
Something.
Like, can we add something to it?
Something. Yeah.
At least change the color. Put some dye in it or something.
Yeah, man. I'm just, Mark Daigneault is probably a great NBA coach. Is he better than Taylor Jenkins in Memphis? Probably not. They're probably just the same. All of these dudes are just like different versions of the same guy. Right? Yeah. It is think about this. Why would I have Mark Daigneault be a coach of the year finalist over the Celtics coach that won 64 games?
Yep.
64 games, B. He won 64 games.
He should be number one just off of that alone.
64 games. They didn't even lose 20 games.
Most shot 3-pointers made in the season as a team. Best team as far as like all stats. Like, I'm surprised he wasn't even mentioned. And we don't like Boston.
They have a top 20 net rating of all time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a top 20 net rating of all time, and he ain't even considered.
Yep. And you got 3 players that are giving you 20 plus. Come on, man. And they had defense.
Yeah, come on. I
agree with you. Daigneault should get out just off of that. I don't like Boston. I was trying to be biased, but when you brought it up, I'm okay with it because it's you. I wasn't going to do
it. And the thing is I don't have anything against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't have anything against Mark Daigneault, right? I have something against the qualifier. So if it sounds like if it sounds like I'm a sniper against OKC and Mark Daigneault, it's just the narrative part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were talking about what the MVP means,
mm-hmm.
That's what I have the beef with in this case, where it's the qualifier. Because if you ask who did more with less, Tom Thibodeau did more with less than Oklahoma City. If we being honest.
I was just real quick. I'm sorry. I was going to say, and what you said without Boston, I forgot to mention. How many teams lost to Boston more than once? I mean, Boston lost to more than once. I think 3 teams. Only 3 teams they lost to more than once. So they only had 3 teams that beat them twice. Right. How is that not put into consideration? That's some serious coaching. Right. I think it's Atlanta. I think it was Boston. I can't remember the other one, to be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, Atlanta, it was Bucks, and I can't remember the other one. But I know it's those 3. Like, they only had 3 teams that beat them twice all season. Net rating out the roof. They basically set a whole new standard.
Right. Yeah, that's just my take on it, man. I think you have to do more with less. Mm-hmm. Right? It's kind of like this channel. Like, we don't have all the technology, we don't have all the super duper graphics and all that stuff. I think we just do more with less. We take the little bit that we have and try to put forward a quality product. Right? It's not OBS, and we don't have all these super mixers and all that stuff in here. Nah, none of that stuff, bro. We just try to do the best that we can do with what we got. Right?
Or a DJ in the background.
Yeah. I'm not in a studio. I don't have a thing set up, backgrounds and all that. None of that stuff, man. It's just that. Now that and with that said, that's what I like. So if there's a thing, if that is my qualifier, that outlines the way that I think. That's my line of thinking. Great. Right? But Cowboy Bob, I looked at the other categories. I really don't care about the other categories. Like most improved, I really don't care at this point. The clutch play of the year, they have a bunch of dudes. They have Steph, DeMar DeRozan, and SGA. I don't care about that, right? But what I will say, and what I will say in these last 3 minutes that we'll probably rock or whatever, I'm just going to say this. So I'm going to try to get the channel back onto a normal schedule this week. Just been super busy. And I know I say that every week. But I'm going to try to get back to a normal schedule, maybe rocking a few hours in the morning and rocking a few hours at night. Right. Okay. And also try to open up the mics more so that we can get more varied opinions and all of that stuff. So I'm gonna wrap this up and get out of here and see what's in there for dinner. You got anything else before we get it?
No, I'm actually good. I believe that we are gonna get cheated until we win a championship, but it's always go New York, go New York, go.
Bim. Thank y'all for rocking with us and everything, man. We're gonna get out of here. Peace, everybody.
Peace. Salut.